for today's card is going to be another Christmas card, and for this I'm using a 10cm by 10cm square base card, which is 4 by 4 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing a bit of embossing on this. So I'm just going to use my dryer sheet, and this will hopefully ensure that my embossing powder just sticks where the Versamark ink is and nowhere else. So it just makes it a bit of a cleaner image. And for this I'm using this stamp set, which is this Cling stamp set from Hero Art, and it's called the 4 Frame Snowflakes, and this is the other one to it. I've already set these up on my Fiskars stamp press because I'm going to be making quite a few of these cards, so it's just as easy for me to set them up here, and then I can just stamp away as many times as I want without having to use the Stamp-O-Majig to line the stamps up. So I know that they're all lined up properly, ready for me to go. So I'm going to ink those up using my Versamark ink. And I can just go ahead and stamp these on this cardstock here. Once you've got it lined up, just press down in one swift movement, and these little sponge feet compress to ensure that the whole thing stamps evenly. Then we just use some white embossing powder, excuse me, and then what I need to do is add a little sentiment stamp in the bottom right hand corner. Now I know I haven't heat set this yet, and that's okay as long as you're really careful not to get your new stamped image anywhere near your embossing powder, because it will mess it up. And the reason I'm doing this is so that I can just heat set it all in one swift movement. I don't have to go back and repeat the process once I've heat set these three and then go and do the sentiment stamp in the right hand corner. I can just do it all in one go. Okay, so all I need to do now is hit that with my heat gun. Okay, once that's heat set, I don't know if you can see the image on there now, but once that's heat set I can trim it down to size. Okay, so next what I'm going to be doing is inking up that image using my distress inks. For this I'm going to be using Antique Linen, Peeled Paint, Fired Brick and Vintage Photo. But you don't have to use this many. You can just get away with these two if you really want to, or you could just ink it with one, one distress ink. It doesn't have to be blended at all. But anyway, I'm going to show you how I go about that. For this, I'm just going to use my Cutterbook A plate, or you could use the B plate, C plate, whatever. The only reason I'm doing this is because normally I work off my glass table underneath, but as you can see the lights on it kind of really don't work with a video camera, so I'm just going to use this as sort of my glass sheet to work off, so that I can just wipe it up later and all the distress inks can just clean right up. While I'm using distress inks, I like to wear a glove on my left hand because I tend to get all ink everywhere otherwise. I still do a little bit, but it definitely helps. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to use my Fired Brick. I've just got one of these little ink applicators with the sponge applicator. Don't use the felt ones for this. Felt applicators are really just for the alcohol inks. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to ink this up, and I'm going to ink quite heavily as well. I'm not being precious with the ink. You don't even need to particularly blend it either, because I'm going to be using some water on this later. And as you can see, it really makes the white embossed areas pop. Next I'm going to be using the peeled paint, and then I'm just going to ink up that remaining area down the centre. I'm not worried at all about where these join in the middle, sort of here. I can blend that in later. Okay, and here's my little trick. Just to blend those two, I'm going to use the Antique Linen Distress ink, and I'm literally just going to get some on the very edge of my applicator, and then just use a little circular motion and just blend those two. down the joining line. So you get a really nice rainbow finish there. To just finish this design, I'm using my last distress ink, which is in Vintage Photo, and I'm just going to ink up the edges just to give those a little bit of definition, all in the one colour, so then it gives it a frame. And then all I'm doing is just getting a cloth and just buffing up those white embossed areas, just to get any remaining distress ink off the top of that surface. Now I'm just going to use a mini mister and spray it once or twice over the finished design. And you can see it immediately starts to blend. So that's another reason I'm really not worried about it when I was applying the ink. I'm not worried about it because I know it's going to end up blending once I spray on the water. And then I'm also going to add just a squirt or two of this mini mister, which is a mixture of Perfect Pearls and water. And that just gives the design an extra kind of shimmer with once those Perfect Pearls have dried. Now you can either leave that to dry by itself or heat set it using your heat gun, and then this surface just cleans right up. Spray a bit of water on there. So now we can adhere that down to the front of the base card. So I'm just adhering that down using 3D stickers, and I'm going to centralise it at the top of my card, my base card, which I know is slightly too big for it in length. And then what I can do is just mark out where I want to trim that end, and then go ahead and cut it down with my guillotine. Okay, lastly what I want to do is just adhere some gemstones in this bottom right hand corner. And for this I'm using this really cute set from Anita's. It's the first time I've used this one. It really wasn't that expensive at all, maybe $3.50, I don't know. And look how many gems you get, and in all those different colours. And it's great that it comes in a little colour wheel as well. So you just choose the colour you want and then close it right back up. So I'm just going to adhere those in this bottom right hand corner. For that I'm just going to use a couple of dots of glossy accents. And once these dry, they will not move. Okay, and then just to finish this card, I'm going to add some stickles in Stardust. And I'm just going to sort of accent a couple of these snowflakes. And I love these stickles because you can just use them like a pen. The fine tip applicator is really good on the end. I don't know if you can see that glitter on here. Hopefully you'll be able to see it in the photos at the end, if not. And that's today's card. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!